Hello everybody and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns, broadcasting the Link to the Past NMG Tournament 2021. We got the lower bracket round 7 for you today. It's g3rd0 versus Chexhuman. Commentating for us, we have Clear Mouse and Miss Anthropic Buddha. I said it right last time, why did I mess up this time? Say hello everybody.
It's okay, I'll let it go.
Just this once, right, Buddha?
Yes, just this once. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Yes, I am Buddha. I'm here with this time with Clear Mouse. And yeah, welcome to the 7th round losers bracket as we have g3rd0 against Chexhuman. And so, Mouse, what are you looking forward to this particular run?
Oh man, so we have g3rd0 and we have Chex. I mean, these are two very excellent runners. Certainly, really, also just two really great guys. I'm looking forward to some good execution, but also just a really good race in general. Hopefully, nothing ill will befallen either of our two runners. g3rd0 does not have the best history with Ice Palace this particular tournament, so certainly hoping that it'll go better for him today.
Indeed, and so set Rob, I guess if you want to bet on the underdog, I'm not quite sure how you want to determine that, but I suppose if you're going to pick an underdog just on, I guess, by looking at the path alone and the times, I'm guessing g3rd0. Well, to be fair, Chexhuman is a lower seed, so let me just do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, so both g3rd0 and Chex have they have like good things going for them. So Chex definitely been much more active, with Link to the Past. Certainly we see him playing a lot of glitch versions, which of course doesn't really apply here, but a lot of the same basic fundamentals apply. He's been pretty consistent with 127s this tournament. g3rd0 has actually taken a little bit of time off before this tournament. We can actually kind of see some of his 130s, 129s kind of early on the group stages. But as he's getting more and more warmed up, less rust, we definitely see some pretty good times. I think against John Rosums, he ended up putting up like a 126. So I think he can go either way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, even though g3rd0 has taken some time off, it seems like he's starting to get his sea legs with the game again. And as you did mention, Chex has been averaging a 128. But even though I say that, all he's been getting, with the exception of one race, he's been getting 127s or 128s. So both have been doing pretty well. So that's always a good thing as we get started here. I'll remind you now that the next opponent for the winner of this particular contest will be actually the winner of Lynx and Void. So whoever wins between Lynx and Void will get the winner of this particular match here.
That's a really scary matchup right here as well. Lynx and Void are also two really excellent runners, definitely no slouches of their own. So definitely uphill battle for both of these runners once they get there.
Right, and it appears to be that g3rd0 is going on emulator and Chex is going on console.
Yes, g3rd0, I believe, is actually one of the few people who actually still play on keyboard. He has actually flashed and verified for us that all of his keyboard bindings are totally legit. So when I'm actually expecting to see at least a couple of chess turns here from g3rd0. They're legit. He is actually pushing the full set of inputs required to do a chess turn and not just binding them to the same key.
Okay, I didn't know that g3rd0 actually did that. That's insanity to me, but okay, very good.
g3rd0 is very skilled, and he is a 124, right? So I mean, he's quite good at this game.
I suppose. So we'll have to see if in fact keyboard really is better than controller. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say so this particular matchup, g3rd0 versus Chex, is actually a rematch from the group stage. This is actually quite a bit of a reunion. Speaking of which, though, for group stages, g3rd0 ended up facing Chex in Group H. Ended up losing to Chex early on, so I'm sure g3rd0 would like to have this rematch go differently than it was before. I'm sure Chex, on the other hand, is really looking to extend his win streak against g3rd0 2-0. And I think actually, assuming one of these guys can get past the winner of Lynx and Void, we're actually going to face Linko, which is also another member of Group H. So whoever organized this tournament, maybe he can do a little finagling behind the scenes to make all this happen.
You wait a minute.
I said nothing. I didn't.
Wait a minute. All right, I'm gonna let that go. I'm not even gonna comment on it. It should be noted that in the poll, actually pretty close poll here. Chex has a slight lead over g3rd0 of the question who will win. So if you want to even that out, feel free to use your channel points. As both are doing the 8/. Both having a little bit of trouble in their respective rights, and both literally grab the key, appears to be at the same time, and both get the lamp at the same time. And so, all right, so that's good. So far, both are on par here, so that is definitely a good thing to see. Is now, yeah, they have Zelda, so now they're going to go ahead and make their way to the back. If you didn't join for the last race, if you were here for the last race, some of this is going to sound a bit redundant, but hopefully we can add some different life into it. Really, nothing too exciting here. It won't be until they get to the back, and only really a couple of rooms in the back to see how well they handle the RNG presented in front of them.
Yeah, Chex has definitely gone on record for saying the ball and chain guard is one of the most difficult bosses, in the game. All things considered, especially early on in the game, it does 1 heart of damage. As we did see, it is definitely still not the smoothest fight, despite what veteran status these runners have with the game. So something can always go wrong, depending, despite how many times you end up practicing that fight.
Of course, yeah, you can do it right 100 times, but there is, but then you don't do it right at the time that matters. It happens to all of us. So right now, both are pretty in sync here. I guess Chex a smidge ahead by a couple frames. But so far, this is, like I said, so far it's looking good. There really isn't a lot here, I think, that would really change the dynamic of this race right now, barring anything horrible. Really, I don't expect anything to really, if any gap is to widen, I wouldn't expect to see it until we get to the Lambo fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so there are, despite how synced up these racers are, there is going to be a little bit of RNG actually coming right here. In fact, we see g3rd0, with these ropes just moving out of the way for him. It's just like a parade. Chex on the other hand, got a stray ropes kind of in the way, so unfortunately had to spend a little bit of that extra time, taking out the boomerang and stunning the rope.
Right. So not a huge time loss though. He managed to recover nicely from it. Now the next little minor RNG here. As Brahmin, thank you, appreciate it, is now the rat key. See how the rat key presents itself. Both get pretty good rat keys. First try with the boom, and 1/.
Yeah, it's always really nice to see the rat just kind of hanging out around you. Unlike, you don't want the rat to, kind of run away from us, because that rat has something very important, like that key that we ended up just picking up.
Indeed, and unfortunately, as we were heading to the back, Chex had to slash a few times because rats decided to get in the way. g3rd0 had a clean shot there. Oh, g3rd0 tried for rat frames, but did not get it, unfortunately. But now both are in. Pretty much got in, like I said, really good times there. Look, both at like a 53 or a 54 escape. And now it's the old tech smash. I believe both will be getting the Sank Heart.
Yeah, I definitely have not seen either runner decide to skip the Sank Heart. I think I've only seen probably like 1 or 2, maybe 3 runners in this entire tournament skip. I very much appreciate the chest turns. Almost expected out of g3rd0. I think this was pretty consistent, but Chexhuman, I believe, does not want to be outshined today by g3rd0.
Sadly, unfortunately, then he did decide to get stuck to the priest for a little bit. So that, lost a little bit, whatever lead he may have, as, again, screen for screen, almost frame for frame. They're both making their way now to one of the only, so again, for this split, the only real thing, at least that could be an issue, is really the overworld. The Eastern Palace itself is pretty mundane, in my opinion, outside of the Zelda Gamer Room. g3rd0, unfortunately, had to slash a beetle, but didn't lose a lot of time there. That was, good pace.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate that he didn't really, get an opportunity to pick up the 5 rupee drop along the way. We are going to be on the lookout for, 5 to 10-ish rupees. That would be, very comfortable for us. Certainly lots of opportunity too, but, it's always kind of disappointing to see, something that's just slightly out of your way. But you don't want to take the extra time to pick it up because, frames do matter in this game.
That is correct, and it should be noted, yeah, I believe Gerdo is now on the second blue drop in his prize pack. So, and then the one after that, of course, is the one we'd all want, the red one. Whereas I believe Chex has not gotten a drop yet. I think he is still on his first. So, but we'll see how that plays out, mainly right before Armos, most likely. Chex not having too difficult a time there at the Cannonball Room, as Gerdo as well.
Yeah, we really want these places to be pretty mundane because when things go off the rails, they can go off the rails pretty quickly, and especially only having 4 hearts, and especially on the later rooms right before the boss fight, which is Armos, you have a couple Igors that can actually be quite the run killer, especially here early on, in the light world.
Right. Fox, you did not miss the gambling. It is still there. And Sirius, you are correct because Chex is in the lead. Insurmountable. An
Yes,
insurmountable lead.
absolutely.
This
That
is
was
impossible. End it now. Chex has apparently won. Um, anyway, whatever. So and as Mouse had mentioned, this is you really do want the light world stuff to be as mundane as possible, minus a few of the issues or a few of the RNG things. And so the only real big trick here in this particular palace is going to be the damage boost to the big key. We'll see how he does there. As both men. Go ahead.
Yeah, and damage is pretty important. Sorry, health is pretty important. I actually see Gerdo taking the time to actually pick up another heart container right before this room.
Yeah, not a bad thing to do. Gerdo trying to do a chest turn, got a little arrogant, and actually forgot to grab the key. So, unfortunately, that adds 10 seconds to his time on the
whole seconds. Oh
in the official leaderboard there. If you mess up a chest turn, Chex now making his way. The Stalfos getting out of his way there. As for Gerdo as well, for getting the bow. Gerdo had to walk around, unfortunately. So give it to the greenies.
Yeah, Gerdo has not had the best RNG. Oh, wow, that Popo really was going to play bodyguard there for the green Igor.
Of course. And now here in the back, it should be noted that Chex did in fact get his 5-piece, so now he is sitting okay. And then Chex getting a pretty decent cannonball room there. The balls were nice. Gerdo, not as much. Good ZGR or Zelda Gamer Room for Chex. Unfortunately for Gerdo, the Stalfos did not cooperate as well. And Chex managed to pick up another 5. Gerdo will also get... okay, so Gerdo unfortunately did not get the first. Was unable to one-cycle that, so that'll be a bit difficult there.
And unfortunately, also couldn't pick up the 5 arrow drop as well. So he's not going to be down too many arrows, just because because he ended up picking up some extra ones. But yeah, it's going to be that time loss that you mentioned. It's going to kind of setting Chex and Gerdo right now apart.
Right, but at the very least, they'll both do get the quick kill, so that's good. And just because though that Gerdo may have missed the one cycle on that red Igor room, it's not the end of the world. There's still plenty of game left, and like I said, really, this is now where it's gonna really change.
Yeah, probably Gerdo's, greatest annoyance is that, the longer that you spend in Escape and Eastern Palace, the longer you have to slightly delay your time to get to, which probably arguably is the best item in the game. That actually lets us call this a real speedrun, which is, of course, the Pegasus boots.
Yep, so of course the boots allow them not only just to go faster, but of course allows for a few tricks, or a few minor glitches as well. Chex going for the spin speed. He does get it, and so he'll be able to get through here a little faster than normal. Just gets past the boulder. Gerdo will attempt to follow, and he does. So both get that, get the spin speed. Now we're making our way here into the library so they can both get the book. I'll be curious to see if either opt to do spin speed either before or after, or before or not. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I do think that Chex does not. I am having some trouble recalling whether Gerdo does. Looks like actually a little bit of trouble kind of dashing down the slope, but managed to at least recover, not taking any damage.
Yeah, he is going for spin speed.
Hey, go Gerdo, go!
Gerdo gets it, and a good clean door
Yeah,
entry as
that was
well.
actually really nice.
That was good.
Yeah.
Chex having a little bit of trouble there with the spin speed for himself, but manages to get second try. And so let's see if Gerdo can make up some of that time by doing it first try. He cannot. He also needs 2 spins. So that was unfortunate. And now, okay, so far, Chex getting past all those guards that have a chance to give you the old tink there. Chex opting for the book menu to avoid running in the water. Not a bad strat.
Yeah, no, definitely seen quite a few runners probably doing that to this tournament. As you mentioned, Buddha, that's actually supposed to have a really nice use of that menu buffer to make sure that you end up turning at the right times. We actually don't want to actually dash when we're in the water, just that much more speed savings or lag reduction. We definitely just want to be able to cut the grass instead.
Right, of course. And Chex, of course, first to the tablet, but Gerdo not that far behind. So again, even though he had to wait a whole extra cycle, he's really not that far off from being right on Chex's heels here.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the boss of this upcoming dungeon, well, this dungeon right here, Landmola's, regardless of what kind of lead or deficit runners have, it definitely can be a great equalizer for terms of time difference between the two.
Indeed, and so Chex unfortunately. Unfortunately, had to do the old double bonk to get the key because he was a little too low. Because, yeah, you don't have to necessarily nudge the torch to get the key, but it's usually a good fail-safe. But unfortunately, he didn't get it. A little too low, but that's all right. Chex now making his way into Cannonball Room. Let's see what type of pattern he gets with the cannonballs.
Yeah, this is more RNG based. Of course, we're always going to hope that we get a pattern that doesn't force us to stop a dash. Oh, looks really nice. Well earned for Chex.
Yep, Chex gets the easy pattern where you just run and go. That's pretty much the end of it. Gerdo, same thing. Good. So good. At least the cannonballs were not being a factor here. And so both men have 11 rupees, so at the very least they don't have to really worry about the rupee counts at this point. I always like to mention that because there is a 5 rupee underneath the pot here that Chex is in. It's that right after that 5 right there, the one that Chex just got for some reason.
It's insurance, maybe.
I guess, I don't know. But also I can't do the math fast enough, so that's not probably a big deal. So either way.
Yeah, we do see actually Gerdo just saving that little bit of extra time and getting the chest turn here when he grabs the power glove. So, Gerdo's already in the lead in my book.
I suppose. I mean, to be fair, if Gerdo's on keyboard, he should be doing chest turns every attempt.
He did try, right? I think every single chest so far, he has at least made an attempt.
Yes. And Chalmers correct. Never do math on stream. I've been a victim of that way too many times.
Looks like actually, yeah, both runners also not opting to do the spin speed outside of Desert. If we didn't end up activating, we do get to the back of Desert just a little bit faster. But if you end up going too fast and falling off, it's definitely going to be probably another 2 to 3 minutes for you to redo the front of Desert again.
Chex with the intentional damage boost.
Yeah. At least, if you get damaged, you hope that your damage boosts you to the direction that you want to go.
Right, and so now both men are sitting at 30 arrows, so that's good. 4 hearts for Chex, full hearts, full 5 for Gerdo. That shouldn't be a huge deal there. All right, now let's see how this goes. So Chex, see, I was opening salvo here.
Somewhat of a rockier start on Chex's side. Looks like he actually just not timed the first arrow that well. Hopefully Gerdo will have a little bit of better luck.
Yeah, unfortunately only 3 hits total so far, whereas Gerdo also only got 3 arrows in and then a sword slash.
Yeah, and unfortunately he kind of got sniped by one of the rock projectiles, which kind of threw off the rest of his timing. That is really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And so Chex, got the short hop. So I think
short hops.
I think this is Okay. I think that this is 5 or 6.
I think it was 5 on Gerdo's side.
Okay, and both actually, and just like
Synced
that,
up!
and just like that, both are actually synced up, and yeah, here we are. Now, it should be noted though, Chex did menu to the boom, so we'll now get to check out them sweet boom strats.
That is an excellent observation. This is actually something that Chex has definitely talked about on stream, and it's really great to see him kind of demonstrate this in a run. Slightly different dashes outside of desert. Definitely, Gerdo, I think, likes to kind of slash the Sandman a bit. I think that way's slightly faster, maybe?
It is slightly faster,
Okay.
yeah. Of course, no one did Cactus Dash because we don't have real gamers here. That's okay. So now, of course, the big thing here will be how will this go with both getting caught up with the pickle. Chex first in the water. Gerdo shortly after. Had a little bit of trouble getting in there, but still,
Yeah.
no problems. That's good.
Yeah, at least, the pickles, or the buzz blobs, their movement ended up being the same for both runners, even though both of them had to, stop and kind of like readjust their dashes. Alright, we see Chex with the boomerang pulled out, stunning that buzz blob so he can just dash right through. Very satisfying, actually, considering all the times that we had to go run into a buzz blob and it just, electrocuting us instead.
Right, and so that was the whole thing there, was that it allows for slightly shorter movement, so that's not a problem there. Now, of course, unfortunately, because you're with the old man can't run with you. So you have to take the walk here. There's little things you can do to try to maximize your speed as best you can, but you can only do so much. Now, of course, the biggest RNG, or environment, if you will, is Death Mountain. Death Mountain can be bad times. However, for both runners, they get clean dead rock so far. Now I'm curious though, will the cabbages come into play? Chex unfortunately got hit by the unavoidable cabbage. Gerdo was able to get by. Unfortunately, Gerdo could not get the spin speed.
Yeah, that's...
And now,
oh no.
Yeah. And so it's always the gambit of, do you want to try to get the spin speed there and run the risk of getting cabbage several times, or just cut your losses and just being able to make it through, knowing you won't have to worry about them afterwards.
Yeah, at least both runners looks like, barring this very last dead rock that won't get in anybody's way, you're at least going to be able to enter Tower of Peril with some pretty reasonable health. 5 hearts each for both runners.
Yep, and both runners also get the quick warp, so that's good. And all right, so far looks to be okay. As Chalmers has completed the smoke pyramid. Congratulations, Chalmers.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chex does pay the entry fee of the standard 1 heart in order to enter in the basement for Hera. Gerdo managed to escape though with his nice boom dash.
All right, so now Gerdo is going to attempt. Is he gonna? Yeah, I guess he's gonna. Yep, he's gonna attempt boom dash.
Yeah, meanwhile, Chex has decided to opt for the normal speed here in the basement as a form of entertainment.
All right, so clearly Chex catering to a select group in the audience, and by group I just mean Yoho. And
Joe? I don't know if he's watching, but...
Now, of course for Gerdo, while the advantage of being able to do that boom strat, it doesn't help in this room. It really helps in the next room, because as you see, the path is open. He didn't have to go hit the switch, whereas Chex had to. So it saves a little bit of time there. That's why you do it ideally.
Yeah, any time also where you can just dash, with your sword out and facing mini Moldorms is definitely better for your run. You don't have to worry about them getting in your way when you're trying to hit another switch.
Chex have a pretty decent build room. He opted to walk back a little bit to get the arrows. Not a bad decision, really.
Yeah, and with this much health, I don't expect either runner to hit that blue switch that Chex ended up just passing. So sometimes, depending on how low we are on health, either from the Tower of Hera itself or our path to the Tower of Hera, if we end up hitting that safety switch, we can also get a couple of safety hearts right before the boss fight.
Right. Both opting for the normal bomb jump, not doing the not doing the early bomb jump.
That was really awesome. Nice chest turn. I want to point out on Gerdo's side as well.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, Gerdo.
unfortunately, the dinosaurs there did not want Gerdo to pass cleanly.
Yeah,
We'll take
that
some
was
damage
like
there.
both of them firing at once to make sure he doesn't pass.
Oh yeah, it was very little chance of him actually not taking damage there. But no, okay, Gerdo getting yeeted a little bit, but that's okay.
I
At least
almost thought Chex was gonna face the same thing, but he managed to at least to land on the arena.
Mm-hmm. And oh, that's dangerous. Chex unfortunately wasn't able to get the dash in because Moldorm still had iframes, and just like that, Gerdo is now taking the lead.
Frames ahead, based on that Moldorm fight alone. I mean, Chex definitely had a much more, dramatic fight, at least with Moldorm. You know, thank you, Sankheart. I believe that's one for on Chex's side. This is a very good reason as to why you pick up that Sanctuary Heart right outside of Escape. Because without it, Chex would have had to start this tower all over again.
Absolutely. Chex, though, opting... I think Gerdo gave it a shot, but realized where he was and just bailed on it. But
Yeah.
Chex got the spin speed. So that's good there. So now he actually is taking the lead back again. But I'm not going to call it every time like that. You'll notice there'll be a lot of back and forths. Or at least we're hoping there'll be a lot of back and forths here. Now, of course, as we mentioned earlier, you want to make sure you got to get, you get your rupee count in check. And let's see here. Chex, of course... Chex opting for the 2 there, because he's going to get the 4 later. Kills the bush crab. Oh, pickle for Gerdo.
Yeah, I think they both end up going for true rupees, but which sets of 4 enemies that they decide to kill is just slightly different. So slightly different routing.
Right, because of course the big thing is you can't take damage after the first tree pull, or between the 2 tree pulls. But ideally, you really want to have beams going into, at the very least, the first room of Aga Tower, or second room of Aga Tower, technically.
Yeah, and so taking damage in the Lost Woods is actually not taking damage. Excuse me, in the Lost Woods is surprisingly difficult. It's not actually like the overworld enemies that you can see, because we do have a sword, we can slash at things. It's kind of the things that are hiding underneath the bushes that you don't really know what's coming at. It's the fact that we just the runners are just kind of dashing through and nothing's gone wrong. That's actually a really great sign to see. We don't want to see ambush guards. We don't want to see bush bombs. Those are definitely things that can just ruin the rest of your run, especially when we haven't ended up pulling the second set of rupees from the trees.
Right, and as you can see there, Gerdo killing the bird, whereas Chex managed to skip it. And so you see, there are red rupees for both runners, so that is good. So now we don't have to worry about any issues there, or having to do any backup strats, because doing backup strats for trees are definitely a time suck. Unfortunately, Chex got frame rolled a little bit, so he took some damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I used to think that when you have your sword, out and dashing, it's like, oh, well, obviously the sword is going to, my sword is going to take precedence, right? No, that's definitely not the case, and many of these dashes that we see.
Yeah, I wish that were true. So you'll see then, so all this means is at the beginning, or in the first ball and chain room here in Aga Tower, they both will be employing slightly different strategies. So we'll see how that plays out. Alright, so Chex is going to opt the spin and the arrows. Now he's going to go low. Yep, get the double spin there. So good. There's Gerdo did the spin and followed by the arrows, and then the double spin to finish off. Both get the fairy skips. That, of course, will be important later for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it was really nice recovery, or nicely done on Chex's side. So we actually saw Gerdo. The reason why you want to keep beams is the execution to kill those blue guards as a dash kill becomes much easier, because you can just beam them once and then dash kill, dashing through them and kill them. Chex on the other hand kind of had to make a makeshift, I guess, like slash initially before dashing killing them again.
Right, and unfortunately for Gerdo, in that dark room, Gerdo, the guard from up top showed up in his vision, so he had to kill him, which of course alerts the guards because he had beams, and it causes a bit of a fracas, sadly. Both get past the guard here in this room, or in this dark room. And now we'll get. Let's see. We'll both go for. Well, I missed Chex's, but I think Gerdo got a key dash.
Yes, g3rd0 did. I also did not catch on Chex's side.
Okay, so both have good there. So spear guards, of course. Chex doing a menu buffer for no real reason, or select buffer, excuse me. Circle of pots for g3rd0. Good RNG. Unfortunately, oh no. Oh yep,
oh,
and
no.
there it went.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, he had a bit of an issue there. So now pretty much a room ahead now is g3rd0, but of course the big RNG issue is going to be Aga. Now, of course, in the last race, there was 7 blue balls to 3 blue balls. So, you know, just because now Chex may be behind a little bit more than before, it really means nothing.
Yeah, this is, so as we progress through the light world bosses, the amount of RNG seems to increase significantly from boss to boss. Remember, in the Armos fights, it's actually pretty, more or less scripted. We know, as long as you, shoot the requisite 18 arrows in, specific order, you're always going to be very consistent in order to beat the boss. We did see on Lamos, after the first stage, it does become a bit more reactive, but still, doable. Moldorm is a jerk because of how erratic his movement is, and now we have pretty much the source of pure RNG. There's not too much we can really, do to control this fight. The best we probably can do is just try to knock him, towards the center of the screen whenever there's an energy ball to save time. But whatever number of blue balls we end up getting is just that's just how the game is gonna roll for us today. g3rd0.
So shout out to g3rd0 for getting 3 already. So yeah, he got the one that is a guaranteed yellow ball, and then he got blue balls for the rest of them. So the 15 is live. The 15 is live.
g3rd0, no.
That's 4.
I think I still one on Chex's side, maybe? Oh my gosh.
That's 5.
Oh my gosh, g3rd0.
Okay.
This is not how you want your races to go.
Hey, he finally got a hit. He finally got a hit. So unfortunately with 5, it means he will be stuck with the lightning again. Okay, so we will see. There we go. I believe that's the second. Is that the second lightning saw for Chex? Or lightning cycle for Chex?
I want to say that I saw 3 blue balls on the side, but
that is 3. That's 3 blue balls. Whereas I believe g3rd0 is sitting now at. Is that 8?
No. Oh no.
I think he's sitting at 8. Okay, I think that's 9. Okay, this is going well. This is really going well. Or is it now on 8? Alright, thank you, Sirius. So that one's a freebie, right?
Please no more.
Okay, let's see.
We're not interested in breaking any blue ball records here for this race.
That's 9.
Oh my gosh, g3rd0.
Okay. That's 10. 10.
Oh. That's so
10.
That is so sad.
Well, congratulations. I think that's the record there for the tournament.
I think I want to make a slight correction. The record, I believe, for this tournament so far that I'm aware of is actually 11, held actually by Chexhuman, and I think one of the group races that he did.
Okay, well, clearly, I was very wrong as I heard the horn behind you.
Oh, sorry.
And then, oh, he has 11 twice. I knew he had a lot of blue balls coming in. I didn't realize he had 2 11s. Okay, well, my bad then. So, congratulations, though, g3rd0, for hitting double digits in the tournament. Always an accomplishment in its own right. So now, will g3rd0, though, he does. g3rd0 gets the spin speed coming off the stairs, so we can go through that a little faster. Chex with once. Thank you, Chex, for correcting the stat that apparently no one else knows except for you. That's probably good. 3 times. Thank you, Yoho. Yoho is the correct answer, I believe. I will always listen to his information. So far, everything pretty standard here. We'll just really, I guess the only possible issue right now for g3rd0 would be if he gets hit while having Kiki.
Yeah, Pod Overworld is no joke. Anytime you have to dash through these ropas, especially with Kiki around, we definitely don't want to get hit, especially with the fact that we only have 102 rupees. We need 100 here to represent open Palace of Darkness. And if we end up getting hit with Kiki, we need another 10 rupees somewhere in order to get him to follow us again. The fact that we only have 2, there's not a lot of great opportunities for some really convenient backups in order to get us back to 10.
No, sadly there is not. But now, so Chex is now going to make his way to the bomb bowl portion of the floor. Or if you do it right, you should just be able to stand on it without taking damage and fall through the hole. As he's on his way to make the big key. So of course, for every runner, one of the big jumps that we have to concern ourselves with is, of course, well, really all the bomb jumps are big, but one of the big ones, of course, is hammer jump. And all right, g3rd0 almost got hit by that fireball. Good thing he didn't.
Yeah, that timing looked pretty tight. So at least in the Japanese 1.0 version, there is actually a small glitch. Or bug in this case, where if you are still in the falling animation, the game still considers you to be on the same layer, so you will actually take damage as long as you come into any contact.
Right. So let's see here. Chex about to perform a double pixel perfect trick here. He doesn't get the second bomb, unfortunately. Okay. Unfortunately, he missed the second bomb, so we'll have to do the single bomb method. So, a little bit of a time loss there, but not too bad. At least he got it first try. g3rd0 will hopefully be able to make up the time.
Yeah, does this mean that Chex potentially has to find another bomb somewhere then?
Yes. Because, yeah, he's now 1 bomb short. But, fortunately, he can... Really, the one that's kind of... Oh, that was close. The one that's kind of on the way in the run would just be getting the bomb in Toilet Room.
Oh, in Thieves Town.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
That was a really nice hammer jump on g3rd0's side.
So now... Check's getting through there. Alright, so we'll see now how he handles this for me. It's important, of course, that when you enter... Yeah, his mimics are pretty easy. You always want to make sure that you need to have full hearts coming into the back after the mimics, because you want to save that. You want to save having to do an extra menu.
Yeah, and the fact that both Chex and g3rd0 ended up getting out of at least the front of Palace of Darkness pretty smoothly. You actually see that only I think Chex only needed to pick up 1 heart. Unfortunately, g3rd0 needed to pick up 2 just because he got nicked. I think either by the turtle or something like that earlier. But yeah. What we saw Chex just do is we can use our sword beams in order to hit crystal switches from afar. Much nicer than having to menu to the boomerang and back.
And a good thing for g3rd0, he managed to get the arrow drop from the mimics.
Yeah, that was also really nice.
Unfortunately, Chex got the bad pattern for the turtle party because one of the turtles went down. And so he opted to wait for the other 2 to come back up and able to get a 2-for-1 there. So, unfortunately.
Chex is not like turtle parties.
No, turtle party.
Invite.
Mm-hmm. So now let's see how this goes. Of course, I think he opts for... He does. All right, so he gets spin speed. So it makes that hitbox for Helma a little bit easier to deal with. Still gotta watch out for them fireballs, though.
Yeah, that's kind of bad RNG on Chex's side. We definitely want the tail swipe as opposed to the fireballs. Fireballs not only do cause some lag, also just gets all over the screen.
g3rd0 getting the good turtle party. Chex now on 1 heart. Literally free. g3rd0 gets the key dash.
Oh.
And so we'll see now how g3rd0 handles that, if his fight will be just as adventurous.
We would like to see mundane fights. Looks like g3rd0 does opt to get the spin speed eventually. Also, take another one for Team Sankheart on Chex's side.
And yeah, so g3rd0 had a not as adventurous fight. So good for him. And now, unfortunately, here with the game, before when Link was catching pendants, you just had to worry about was just one cutscene screen. But now you got to actually worry about several text boxes.
Yeah, I guess there's like the maidens want to tell you stuff about the history and like the lore and where to find the other 6 maidens.
I suppose so. I mean, I can't read Japanese, so I don't know what this says, but shout out to Super Malmo World for that hot raid. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. It really helps the Steam. Chex now making his way out of Pot Over World. Of course, you want to be careful. Really, the big thing is you don't want to get lottoed. And hopefully that doesn't happen. And so, ooh, like, that one's I'm always skittish about that one when they jump like that.
Yeah,
Right.
anytime when you have ropes that jump, right? Yeah, it's they take, especially this part, pretty significant amount of your health away, which is 2 hearts. And we did see Chex passing the murder dactyl, which g3rd0 is hopefully also going to pass unscathed. Those things do 3 hearts of damage, and especially at this close proximity and all of these other really dangerous enemies kind of laying around, your health can go away pretty quickly.
And g3rd0 does in fact get through unscathed. And let's see if g3rd0 can follow suit with Chex and do first try hammer dash. He does with ease.
Yes. Yeah.
Now Chex is going to go get himself a shovel, which will then proceed to get himself a flute. So we'll see if he gets the quick warp. And he isn't.
Oh, Chex got the quick warp. Really nicely done.
Yeah, got the quick warp. 1 dig, very good. We'll see now if g3rd0 can follow behind there. And of course, it's always interesting to note that when it comes to talking to some of the characters, like Stumpy or Sahasrahla or anyone like that, it's always interesting that you don't actually have to be touching them to talk. You actually can. There's a nice cloud of area that you can actually talk.
It's more like you can yell at them from afar, right? Something like that.
Yes, you can keep social distancing in this particular game. That was a horrible joke. Do not laugh at that. Unfortunately, g3rd0 did not get the quick warp, but 1 dig. Now, of course, this is in order to get through this next part here, you pretty much have to do spin speed, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. We did see some really nice spin speeds on both runner sides. Chex ended up, of course, being just a little bit ahead, ended up getting it first. If we don't end up getting spin speed, that red guard is definitely going to get right in our face and take off a whole heck of a lot of damage, because he just kind of keeps coming at you, and every single time he hits you, it's 1 heart.
Right. Chex managed to get through the 3 musketeers there pretty well. I mean, Setrop, you're right. You're not wrong. And now, so of course, he's going to go into the portal and make his way into Thieves' Town. As g3rd0 also looks like, let's see how his 3 musketeers goes as well. Oh! Bush Skull. And all the lag from the rupee drops.
Yeah, something you, of course, always want to see. Hopefully that means that Chex will not end up getting any more skull rocks underneath the bushes for the rest of the game. Hopefully.
Yeah, I have no... And I know there's like somewhat of a probability and all that other stuff. Like there's a way to kind of possibly tell, but I have no idea what it is. Oh, unfortunately, g3rd0 getting the fairy lag there, so that's unfortunate. So as mentioned before, really nothing too crazy until you get to Hellway. Though, I'm not saying the other rooms are free by any means. As mentioned
both runners. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say both runners end up getting some pretty friendly pink Sizak RNG. Sometimes when you jump down to the bottom level here of Thieves' Town, that pink Sizak will just decide to be right there waiting for you. Almost if he wants to catch you, but no. In fact, he just does 2 hearts of damage to you for no good reason.
Right, and so here, this can also be a bit problematic depending on the RNG and how you position yourself for those Patrick Stars. Chex now first into Hellway, does not get the pixel, but that wasn't bad given all things considered, only taking a heart of damage.
Yeah, I mean, so like of course the danger of that hallway is once you end up not getting the pixel lineup, it's very easy to take a lot of damage very quickly. Everything in that screen does 1 heart damage, and so if 3 or 4 things come at you and does 1 heart damage apiece, you are pretty much down to half your health right there.
And unfortunately for g3rd0 got the other bad situation of you can get the God Pixel, but then the Patrick Star gets in your way anyway, and as Mouse just mentioned, as almost a prediction, yeah, he got bit wombo comboed there by all of the crap in Hellway, sadly. Okay, so of course, making way up top here, Chex already went through it. So Chex got the backup bomb from earlier. Unfortunately, g3rd0 had to use an extra bomb there,
gosh.
and almost got cricketed.
Yeah.
All right. So Gerdo in a little bit of trouble. Not really in a comfy position, but we'll hopefully should be able to kind of make up for it here.
Yeah, I would like to say that at least the most dangerous portions of Thieves Town is over. Wow, Gerdo just skirted right by that Patrick Star. Certainly, like the most dangerous part is going to be the hellway. Oh, geez, Chex trying to get through that conveyor belt. With the Baris, don't want to get electrocuted. Also, don't want to fall off the conveyor belt. That's probably the most anxiety-inducing portion of Thieves Town. We do see Gerdo picking up the safety hearts just to make sure nothing bad happens. I think actually during one of Gerdo's D-Rust runs, he had like something like 3 hearts, got electrocuted by the Bari or something, got hit, and then ended up falling off, and that ended his run in Thieves Town.
And then one thing to note as well, that actually the red horse head did in fact get into the perfect line of sight for shooting right down the middle of the hallway, but fortunately didn't shoot a fireball, as Chex, following the script, gets the fight done very well here. But Gerdo not that far behind, and he's sitting a lot better than what he was before.
Yeah. Yep. So I think, as maybe many commentators in the past have mentioned, this is a scripted fight. So as long as you do the same thing, Blind will also follow suit and do the same thing. In theory, of course, that if you follow the script, you will take no damage. But of course, if things go slightly awry, or your improv skills aren't really up to snuff, you probably really want those safety hearts.
Yep. But for Gerdo, same, no problem. All is well with the world. And so yeah, for anyone who showed up late, right now the real big discrepancy, of course, is that Gerdo is coming in with 10 blue balls. Chex only had 3. And now making our way here to Skull Woods, but first we need to make the pit stop. We need to go rob some houses, and then also pick up the Tempered.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense, right? The 2 chests with 300 rupees are actually in places where you actually need to, some sort of entry, right? There's a door that you have to open, there's a bomb, wall you have to blow up. I guess thieves are thinking.
I suppose so. But now, as we've always mentioned before, this is actually kind of in the long run a faster thing to do to actually get the Tempered Sword as opposed to doing everything with Master Sword. And actually, as my other commentator, Fricker, mentioned earlier, that it is faster to have the Master Sword the entire time until you get to Ganon. Then that's where all the time gets made up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's surprising, actually, considering how much power the Tempered Sword gives you, right? Basically, it's double damage for everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's also kind of assuming you have a clean run the rest of the way and everything else goes fine.
That's probably true. I also would like to point out that Gerdo ended up doing, of course, another chest turn to get his 300, which I did not see Chex do. Speaking of also differences, I believe Chex left his portal at the side of the screen, so this I think is a more recent, at least strat for development. Gerdo, I believe, still does things more or less like the old classic way. We saw his portal right outside the door instead.
Oh, thank you, Fox. So apparently, according to Fox, Dow estimates that the Tempered saves about 20 seconds over Master Sword if you're a God Gamer. Okay, very good.
Oh, easy. Okay.
And so Gerdo, of course, doing the older strategy of just going to the portal and going back in. You do it right, get yourself a nice little Tempered Sword there, and easily walk into the portal. Of course, the problem with this too is you want to be careful not to mirror bonk is really the big worries there. And gets a fence dash too.
Gets a fence dash. That was really nice to see.
So Chex going into one of the more difficult parts of Skull Woods, but he gets it, as you can see there, because the RNG was kind. Of course, the mummy room can be really, really dangerous.
Yeah, and not only that, going into the second half to go to get the big key, there was also no Gibdo waiting for him. Right as he entered the room, so that was also a really kind spawn point for the Gibdo.
Right, and so now let's see if... Let's hope g3rd0 gets the same luck here. Or the same pattern, I should say, as Chex is about to go get himself a fire rod. Alright, well, unfortunately the one mummy is giving some issue, but...
Oh, wow. that mummy was so close. And of course g3rd0 gets, oh, well, even not so good luck. Manages to avoid a lot of damage, though. Really well done on g3rd0's side for reacting that way.
Yeah, it was a good reflexes by him, and then also, of course, for those of you who aren't aware, that yes, if an enemy is flashing, after you slash them or after they take damage, you can walk right through them and not get any damage. That's of course really important later for like the Ganon fight and stuff like that. All right, it's a good bomb jump there. So now in the back of Skullwoods, Chex unfortunately came across the one of the first problems that the fire snake can just get right in your way, which doesn't allow you to do the full door dash there. Chex gets through Mummy Hellway. Now, of course, important here in this room before the drop down is you want to make sure you get the mummy on the spike, because then it takes 2 slashes to kill that mummy, which is a lot faster than trying to do 4 slashes with the mummy bouncing around the room everywhere.
Yeah, really nice back at Skullwoods, though, on Chex's side. Just got kind of unfortunate RNG with the Fire Snake. g3rd0, though, on the other hand, does that first room, gets through really well with the key dash as well.
Yep, and for Chex, he didn't get the double poke at the beginning, and unfortunately, you know, the spikes decided to kind of give him a little bit of trouble, but he did manage to get through flawlessly and managed to get himself past Moth.
Yeah, you know, so this is true for, you know, pretty much all bosses, you know, try and beat them as fast as possible. You know, the longer, of course, you let Mothula fight, the more of those spikes are going to come after you. It's not, you know, it's pretty random. And of course, Mothula's patterns are not going to be always, like, super friendly. So you definitely really want to take this boss down as fast as you can. Hopefully g3rd0, I think he got the double.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Nice.
Yep, he got the double poke, got himself in a cleaner fight than Chex had, but... So that'll hopefully make up some time.
Yeah, no, that was like, yeah, double poke, and then I think just 2 slashes on g3rd0's side, really nicely clean, you know, done Moth fight, you know, for g3rd0.
No, yeah, he didn't get middle hold, yeah, it was 10 blue balls. And so, Chex now, gonna head to Ice Palace. Again, it is really important that both runners keep their health at full, going into Ice Palace, as Chex does the extra whistle there in order to set up the spooky. And did he get the quick warp? Yes. So saves a little bit of time there.
Yeah, also did not get ambushed by any of the skull rocks, I guess, underneath the grass. That definitely can mess up some runners, and can actually slightly adjust your dash and kind of put you more in the way of enemies where you end up taking more damage.
Right.
Chex, yeah, trying not to get lotteried, does it so you know, pretty well, using that sword to his advantage.
Yep, now let's see. It looks like g3rd0 also got the quick warp. Yep.
Nice. Nice job, g3rd0. Yep, g3rd0. Alright, readjusting, you know, it looks like preemptively, so he doesn't take any damage, and now he is also going to be on his way to Catfish.
Also, shout out to both of them for neither of them picking up the sign.
That's right.
So, Chex didn't do the quick fish. g3rd0 not opting for the safety, just went ahead and just full lottoed, but got through with no problems. And as Chex now is going to go through Zora's domain here, we'll see if g3rd0 does quick fish or not.
Yeah, I want to say he doesn't try for it, but, you know, I could be wrong.
No. Nope.
Oh, it looks like maybe he did try for it, I'm not sure, but yeah, so the quick fish, of course, that we're trying to refer to is, so what we really want to do is throw a rock into that circle of floating skulls, and of course that hitbox is actually a square, and not a circle, so if you can actually manage like just a couple like pixels just right outside, such that the game still thinks it's inside the hitbox but doesn't actually collide with anything, then you can actually just get the catfish to spawn just a couple, you know, frames faster. I don't know, I'm not sure what they are, Fox.
Someone look up the lore. And so Chex having a pretty decent Zoro's domain. He didn't lose any health, and I didn't hear him take a drink before getting flippers.
I think I saw one on Chex' side, but I could be mistaken. This is going to be the last difficult portion. Oh no! Chex works so hard to keep his full health, and then of course getting sniped by that one last Zora to cause him lose.
Again, the tiny warp claims another one. Okay, hold on. So Buddha, where's our trivia? Buddha, where's our super NT? Okay, first off, let's get a couple things. 1, I don't have trivia. 2, good fire rod shot. 3,
oh no,
yo-ho,
Chex.
eventually. So, alright, so unfortunately for Chex, well, not unfortunate, because you are allowed essentially 1 errant fire rod shot, so that's not a big deal. Part of the... And then g3rd0, unfortunately, also the tiny warp...
Yeah, g3rd0 unfortunately got crabbed at the very end. Like, so he slashed at the Zora, and I think the crab just managed to snipe him right before he managed to go left. It's just, man, this is... Ugh.
Huh. Okay. I didn't know that was even possible. So, as you see here with g3rd0, this is why you want beams, because unfortunately, as he walked in, he saw that last jelly do his little shock thing, which doesn't allow you to have... Which, you know, you have to wait out that animation, sadly. Now, Chex. So, Chex will actually have beams coming into the conveyor room, which is very important, because you can actually beam through the spikes here and be able to pick off that. Oh, unfortunately, didn't get the... Played it a little bit safer.
Yeah, anytime where you can keep beams and kill Baris from afar in order to claim their prize, that's definitely to your advantage. You know, we definitely saw that if we ended up having beams, that could have been proven a lot more advantageous than what, you know, both these runners ended up having to go through. Really nice bombable floor room, though, on g3rd0's side.
And Chex getting the lineup room.
Unfortunately, you know, even because g3rd0 ended up getting crabbed early on, you know, he cannot even get beams back, you know, for this particular room. So he's gonna have to kind of wait out the animation. Oh!
And unfortunately couldn't get... mistimed the dash a little bit, so the conveyor belt room taking quite a bit of time for him. And now... And he... Okay. So, very close... bomb jump there, because it looked like he almost was about to nudge off. And
yeah. So Chex coming into the cold stare fight, he's in a pretty good position. He's pretty healthy. He can actually take, I think, 2 hits from cold stare or falling icicles. Looks like he doesn't quite get all of the slashes in time, but cleans it up pretty nicely.
Yep. g3rd0 unfortunately wasn't able to get a 1 spin on the penguin room, and had a little bit of trouble there at Lonely Firebar, but so this is now a little bit dangerous, because g3rd0 is sitting at 3 hearts, about to go into cold stare. Now, as already mentioned though, cold stare does 4, while the icicle does 2, so he's going to have to be really careful here not to, you know, not to accidentally touch him. But we'll see how this plays out for him.
Yeah, ideally, of course, g3rd0 doesn't end up taking any damage, but if he were to take a hit, as you said, Buddha, he's going to be from those falling icicles. He just needs to get through Ice Palace.
Okay.
Oh, really nice fight, g3rd0.
Literally, it's just that easy.
Yes.
Even with the double menu. Now,
it's like a script, right? You just follow the script. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
No, never. So now let's see what Chex does, because I always forget if he's going to go shopping now or later. The answer is later, because he's not going to make his way into Swamp. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually also not sure what g3rd0 ends up doing. So, of course, you know, this is going to be between Swamp and Mire, and probably before Turtle Rock. We will see runners at their discretion pick up the Ether Medallion and the Ice Rod. Looks like Chex is going to opt to, you know, as I said, Buddha, delay this until after Swamp Palace. There are a couple of reasons why you might choose to do it now versus later. If you do it afterwards, especially, for example, for the Ether Medallion, you will have the hookshot, which is the prize from Swamp Palace, which will, of course, then you don't have to necessarily execute a sword spin speed at that point. You can just execute hook speed, which is a lot easier. Of course, the other downside, or the other side of getting this now versus later, nice anti-fairy skip checks, is that if you end up taking some damage from Death Mountain, if you are down a couple hearts going into Swamp, it's probably not going to be the end of the world for you.
Right, whereas you definitely want to have full hearts going into Mire. And so Chex is... Oh, unfortunately, one of them gets bombed a little bit. Does get the anti-fairy skip, this is true. And so we'll see now if g3rd0... g3rd0 getting bombed a little bit.
Man, what enemies are these for g3rd0? Jeez.
Unfortunately, not cooperating, sadly, but got by still.
g3rd0 does get the quick warp, looks like, at least going into Swamp. That's pretty cool to see. These are definitely one of the hardest quick warps to get, just because there's not a real consistent lineup that we can always get. So g3rd0 also with the anti-fairy skip. Cool to see.
Excellent. Well done by both. And so now we will... And he gets the...
And he gets the one return back too. So that's like a free second saved just from quick warping.
So there we go. So now making his way through as well. Looks like doing fine there as Chex going through everyone's favorite, the main hub there of Swamp. Okay. So interesting. Usually, at least from my experience, you usually want to get rid of that blue skeleton when possible. It's always interesting when people don't, because you kind of get, as kind of seen there, kind of can get in the way a little bit and be a nuisance.
Yeah, also seeing some side effects, I guess, or consequences of Chex still, haven't taken any damage yet, is able to keep his beams. Beams are not necessarily, I guess, desirable, as we see that, g3rd0 is kind of able to slash at enemies away, so it does temper sword damage. Every once in a while, you do see that when Chex ends up slashing, the sword beams override the temper sword damage. Enemies don't actually die in one hit.
Right, that is always the downside with having beams. But so far, of course, Chex remembering to hit the switch. These runners,
yes.
Yeah, these runners, I don't really see them forgetting to do that. That's kind of but the reason for that, for those who may not be familiar, is if you don't have the pegs up at blue, that means you will not be able to get the big key later, which means you won't be able to get the hook shot. So save yourself the trouble and hit the switch on the way out.
Chex trying for the hammer dash, gets it second try, which of course is just as good as the first try. Saving those frames.
I suppose. Chex still having sword beams, which is nice. So now, okay, gets through the jelly there. Whereas g3rd0, looks like g3rd0's progressing nicely as well. So only took the damage from being bombed on the outside there. Otherwise, Swamp's been okay.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those dungeons where you kind of stop worrying about if you're going to die, at least in the front, just because you have so much health, is try to optimize your movement such that you don't end up probably losing time. Right? Because, for example, these Baris, their movement patterns aren't too erratic, but, if they do get in your way and you end up slashing them, right, it's not only the electrocution animation, you also have to wait for them to finish their electrocution animation, right? It's just more time loss after time loss.
Right, yeah, definitely when dealing with the jellies, those types of things can compound on each other. Chex, also mentioning earlier, did get first try hook speed, so that means you could pick up the pot without having to, while the statue is in the way. And now, well, really, so this is hopefully pretty, well, hoping this will be pretty humdrum. We'll see how g3rd0 handles the back here, because yes, with the back itself, you do have to kind of be wary of that one red jelly. Meanwhile, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I did see Chex picking up both the bomb and the arrows. Right before we enter Argus, so at least he has some backup resources.
Right. No. Neither have gone shopping yet. Alright, so
Chex just made it!
Chex got the 0 cycle, and then of course does the very dangerous thing of accidentally going above Argus. So, at least he didn't take damage, so that's fine. And that's it, he escapes.
Yeah, looks like when he switched over to Mirror, he was already decided to not opt to do phase 2 Argus with the Fire Rod. So, it's definitely just 2 sword spins, very consistent, but, maybe just ever slightly slower than you using the Fire Rod for 2 shots and then sword spinning. Meanwhile, I know g3rd0 does go for the 0 cycle, so we're going to see how well, hopefully, he's also going to end up having just as clean as an Argus fight.
It is also interesting to note that he did not opt for either the bomb or the arrows in Restock Room, and unfortunately the 0 cycle...
Maybe?
Nope.
No.
Unfortunately, he got himself that
it.
empty cycle where you hear the puffs, go, but there is actually no puffs there. But he does do the Fire Rod kill instead.
That's just really unfortunate. In order to get the 0 cycle, it does take, very high level execution. Certainly not easy, but you do need a little bit of cooperation on Argus' side, just because if his movement patterns, aren't super friendly, or he just decides to charge at you for no reason, then you don't actually have enough time to get all the puffs out.
Right, and as you see here with Chex, this is kind of I don't know if the advantage is, but one of the preferences of being able to... Oh, nice dodge there. Of being able to get the hook shot for Death Mountain allows for quicker spin speed, or item dash speed, or whatever you want to call it. Yep. Didn't get the quick warp there, but that's okay. But the important thing is that he managed to get up to Death Mountain damageless.
Yeah, which is, that's no small feat. We've seen how punishing Death Mountain can be.
Yeah, the only thing at that point, the only kind of possible salvage for full hearts would be the fact that you can, there's a 50-50 chance for getting a heart or fairies in those bushes after the portal. Chex now, of course, he's opting to finishing his shopping now by going to grab Ice Rod.
Just, wow. Alright, so that's some pretty nice maneuvering on g3rd0's side and Death Mountain to not take any damage. Fortunately, just couldn't rush up the stairs, think about what we saw kind of Chex do. He had to kind of maneuver around the boulders and the dead rocks.
Yeah, g3rd0 having a bit of an adventure, unfortunately.
Does get the quick warp, though.
Does get the quick warp. Unfortunately, he had to use a second menu, though, because he menued to the bow instead of the mirror. Alright, so Chex now in the Mire Overworld. He got himself the quick warp, and he set himself up for Spooky. Good solid movement. Switch to Ether, one of the hardest menu in the game.
Yeah, it's very awkward. It's I think a menu in 3 different directions, right? Or it's I think one direction 4 times, something like that. It's just never pleasant.
Correct, and yeah, and ideally you want to minimize the number of movements in that screen. Sometimes for some people it is faster to just hit left 4 times instead of, having to do a half a circle on your D-pad. So one of the reasons you want to have beams so much is so you can try to do this room in 1 cycle. Unfortunately, one of the Popos got in the way and Chex couldn't get that last Wizrobe. But still manages to get through.
I did enjoy the chest turn on g3rd0's side when he got the Ice Rod. Thanks, g3rd0. Hopefully, of course, actually, so both Chex and g3rd0 ended up keeping their beams for Mire. So hopefully g3rd0 will be able to take advantage of those and get a fast Mire too. And so when assuming the Popos also do cooperate then.
Right, so Chex. Nice, gets the 1 slash to both hit the switch and get the key. And so we'll see how he handles the slugs as he makes his way up to torches. The slug's cooperating, which is nice.
Yeah, as does the bar. He does not get in the way of trying to get that full magic refill.
And unfortunately, g3rd0 had a 2 cycle, Mire 2. And now, so about 106.5 for the torches for Chex here. And again, this is really the only other time he gets one of the few other times he gets a break, because obviously not seen is that you have to wait for the wall in this room to completely move out of the way. Alright, and now g3rd0, let's see how, also has full hearts at this moment and making his way here to the back. Unfortunately, slashed several times, and he got hit, sadly, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that hard hit, of course, isn't going to be the end of the world. You know, both runners end up coming in with full health, which is really great to see. We would like to keep as much health as we can going into the Vitreous fight, and especially actually coming up on Chex's side. After he claims the Kingdom of Mario, we are going to take an intentional 3 more hearts of damage to walk through those spikes to get our last key.
Right, and unfortunately, while Chex did skip the Spark Gamble, the Fire Snake wanted to have none of it, and actually literally walked into the path of Chex as he was walking through.
Alright, Chex sitting at 8 hearts. Looks like he is actually opting to pick up a 9th heart just so he could be extra comfy. 7 hearts is probably more than sufficient, assuming, of course, nothing goes wrong. 5 hearts is the absolute minimum that we can have, just in terms of if we can try and do the Vitreous fight properly.
Okay, and I saw the little puff of smoke there, so he kicked up some dust and dropped the block, so that should set up, so he should have Spooky set up ideally. Whereas g3rd0 went for Spark Gamble.
Yeah, looks like he did end up getting damage boost the right way, which is always good to see.
Yeah, the slight damage boost, not the good one.
Not the full one, right?
Okay, no, that's okay. So while Chex may have missed that first shot there, making sure that you get the Spooky 2 as opposed to the Spooky 3 is a lot better, because there's a huge time loss if you run out of magic or you mess it up in any way in that second room.
Yeah, so speaking of backups, g3rd0 is going in with 0 bombs, so it's very important for him to get Spooky correct. What a nice phase 1 from Chex. Really nicely done for spins, and only had 1 eyeball to clean up.
Yep, so Chex getting the... I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Did g3rd0 get the puff of dust? I guess we're about to find out right now.
Yes, he did. He just placed the block slightly offside, so he had to kind of readjust the block before going down.
Okay, yeah, clearly he got it. It just, like I said, out of the corner of my eye, I didn't see the puff, so I was just, I got really concerned very quickly.
Looks like he did end up, he ended up getting the second, or he ended up hitting the Anti-Fairy the first time around, so he did have that last bit of magic in order to hit the switch, or the torch, I guess, at the very end, so he didn't have to go up like Chex did.
Right, so saves a little bit of time there, hopefully. Let's see how his Vidi fight goes. Okay, didn't get as many of the eyes he wanted on that first try over there. He slashes the 2, arrows the 1, unfortunately gets the 1 cycle with the lightning. But all in all, though, not a bad Vitreous fight.
Yeah. The important part, of course, is that g3rd0 did not die. Yeah, the first spin actually looked a little bit, I guess, like loose, like in that it didn't end up hitting as many eyeballs as possible. So unfortunately, it's why g3rd0 had a little bit more cleanup.
Okay, Chex wanted to get real up close and personal with the dead rock there. Managed to cut himself short, so he didn't get hit. And okay.
Yeah, all things considered, Chex has had a pretty friendly Death Mountain. You know, like every single time he's come up here so far. He's not out of the woods yet. You know, he's got a couple more screens to go to Turtle Rock. We saw the benefits of keeping those sword beams there, unfortunately, because Mini Moldrums did not die in 1 hit. That was a really nice dash through those dead rocks. Did not expect him to be able to continue.
And manages to poke the dead rock before picking up the spike, or before picking up the rock, excuse me. Doesn't get the hook speed, so he's going through doing the puzzle like a slug. But I think he managed to get the quick warp. No, he did not. The quick warp is free, they tell me. It's literally free, is what they tell me.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who tells these things. You know, it must be like, you know, a snake oil salesman or something.
All right. Either way, one day someone will someone will tell me that, or someone will show me that it's consistently free. But until then, we'll have to get on checks about that. So g3rd0 also not taking damage. I missed the beginning part of his Death Mountain, but not taking any damage. So far we're going to call it a win.
Yeah, we saw, well, not quite the full benefits of being able to keep sword beams on Chex's side, but we did see him preemptively sword slashing to get those beams, so if they potentially hit the Baris on the way, then they have no chance of getting on their way later. Oh,
Right.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, dude!
So g3rd0 almost got soft locked inside of a turtle, or inside of a dead rock. That does happen, but managed to get out of it. That could have went a lot worse than it did. Serious, he almost pulled a Chalmers. Nowhere near as bad as what he did.
Alright, so speaking of what both runners ended up successfully doing in Aghanim's Tower, we did see that fairy drop from the Pokies to refill Chex's health, but unfortunately, do you like Chomps, Buddha, out of curiosity?
I love Chomps.
I don't think I've ever heard you say anything about Chomps.
I love Chomps so much. Chomps are a favorite part of this game. I'm glad that they're here, despite the fact that they're more of Mario than Zelda, but I appreciate it so much. Thank you. I hate them.
Chex, might be in the same boat as you on this run. We really wanted to keep our health, but we saw how dangerous those Chomps were. I'm not even sure what happened, like how he ended up taking 2 hits from the Chomps.
Yeah, I believe it's something to the effect of that if they essentially, or at least the way that I've always seen it, if they hit you before the block comes up, you don't get those iframes, and then, well, you saw the result.
Oh my gosh.
g3rd0 tried for a chest turn, but instead he walked away from the chest for about half a second. So someone add 10 seconds to his run there. All right. Fortunately for g3rd0, a much nicer set of chomps.
Yeah. Oh, so that's how the room is somewhat supposed to kind of go. Assuming your chomps to behave. Unfortunately, it looks like he did not end up getting a fairy drop, I want to say, because he didn't end up taking more damage. He does have more opportunities, coming up here to kill some more Pokies. What we really like to see to keep sword beams right here for this room on Chex's side is, of course, he's going to use Kina Samaria because he doesn't have sword beams. If you can use sword beams to hit the switch, wow, that was just barely made it through the roller. You can save something like half a second.
Yeah, something like that. Chex managed to get through the squeeze there. g3rd0 having some trouble. He got bunny beamed, but he actually recovered really, unfortunately, a little slow, but he recovered very nicely because that can go south really quickly if you mess that up.
Yeah, unfortunately, he still did not get any drops from the Pokies, and he is unfortunately down 8 hearts as opposed to 7, just because I think he got probably sniped by one of the Stalfos skulls. So unfortunately, unless he picks up another heart somewhere, he also most likely will not have sword beams.
Correct. As Chex gets through the laser bridge. So this really, hopefully here, he'll get all the drops he needs. Yep, there's the fairy and the magic, of course. So then he tried to do the old grab and run a little bit fast there, but he got himself, well, he had beams.
He did.
Unfortunately, mistimed the roller just a little bit, but he is in a slightly better position than he was, so that's actually kind of worrisome given his magic situation.
Chex on the Trinex fight. Pretty good looking phase 1 so far.
And g3rd0 actually opted to switch to Boomerang because, given the amount of magic he has, he needs to reserve 1 magic for here, and then he technically can use the last block on Laser Skip unless he opts to pick up the magic pot on the right, which he does not. So, okay.
Yeah. We definitely, so, it's not going to be the end of the world, as you said, Buddha, if he does not have magic coming up here in the Switch puzzle room. However, g3rd0 definitely has not had the best of experiences when he didn't have magic and tried to do like the 2-pop version to hit the switches, and yeah, it definitely does not go well. Oh no, dang Beetle.
Alright, so g3rd0 was trying to do the, I guess the quick laser skip there, but managed to get through it. Didn't get hit by the laser, which is really kind of the big thing.
Yeah, I think actually there was another run yesterday where I think Gem had 5 hearts. Oh no, going onto Laser Bridge, got laser and then fell off and kind of was not good. g3rd0, unfortunately, looks like the switch did not end up hitting, but switch to as a really great backup, his arrows in order to hit that last switch because we ran out of magic.
Yeah, and unfortunately, yeah, he was on the wrong side of the peg, so he wasn't able to, so he kind of got blocked backwards. Alright, and as Chex is approaching GT, let us take a peek now and see if g3rd0 can handle Trinex here so far. It looks good. Alright, there's 5 hits there on the Firehead. And there was 5 hits. Alright, a little slow there for that last hit, but managed to get the 1 cycle. Now let's see if he can get the quick kill on the 3rd head. Yeah, Fox. The peg maze has gotten a lot of people this tournament for some reason. g3rd0 unfortunately took a hit, but that's okay. He did get the kill.
Yeah, g3rd0 definitely had more than enough health to spare. We saw that Trinex's body, just like any other boss after Ice Palace, well, including Ice Palace, does 4 hearts of damage, so he was more than ready.
Right. Chex opting for getting the key down here.
Yeah, I think g3rd0 goes for the pre-Moldorm 2 chest one, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, there's that one is going to be a little bit faster, but especially if Chex knows the state of the match in this game, that torch small key is significantly safer, right? Once you get that key, no damage taken. You just have to, once you're done, you just try and get through the rest of GT as fast as you can. You don't have to stop for anything else.
Yeah, that is correct. Yoho, I believe it is 6-hour difference between Germany and US.
Hi, g3rd0.
Okay. So g3rd0 making an appearance. Apparently, he has stated that he is 1 1/4 Ganon falls behind. I don't know what a quarter Ganon fall is, but okay, very good. So Chex, so he's at 22 arrows, or sorry, he'll be at there we go, 27. So he'll have
He's 30 arrows.
The fortuitous arrow drop. So that means now he will actually not have to worry about getting the arrows after the big key. And of course, killing Ice Armos here in a particular fashion is important, or really as fast as you can, so you can have a good setup there for the the setup for the fire bats for later. Chex gets the big key, and of course opts to not get the arrows in the back chest.
Yeah, I mean, so typically, depending on your arrow drops, we always want as many arrows as possible, but we definitely want the 10 at minimum going in. We only need 8 here in order to take care of the mimics, but having a couple extra projectiles as you make your way through the gauntlet is certainly very helpful.
Right, and g3rd0 now making his way as well to Ice Armos. And so yeah, Chex does have a pretty comfortable lead. This is gonna be, we are kind of at that situation where something traumatic needs to happen to Chex. Not that I'm asking for it, but just to see hopefully that he can stick with what he's doing, whereas if g3rd0 can stick with what he's doing, and like I said, Chex, something goes south, then maybe g3rd0 might be able to make up some time.
Yeah, g3rd0, at least so far, has had a very clean GT basement so far. So definitely making up a little bit of time.
Right, so he's got 18 arrows now. So he has just enough to do... Right, it's on 4... Yeah, I don't think he realized, there aren't bombs in the pot up top. There's actually bombs on the left. So unfortunately, kind of that missed bomb management there will definitely cost g3rd0 quite a bit here.
I guess on the plus side, he ended up getting the arrows from the chest, so it looks like he potentially doesn't also have to get the arrows from the big key room as well.
Right. Unfortunately, though, the Landmo, Chex missed the first fire rod shot, so that sadly means that he will have to. He had to hit 2-cycle there. And serious, yeah, you're right. Bombs are under literally every other pot except for the one that g3rd0 grabbed. Yes. Oh well, but I mean, it happens. It happens. So Chex now making his way through. Wait, Fox, was Sirius wrong? Oh, for the love of God. He can't be wrong in 2 channels. He can only be wrong in my channel. Chex, though, making his way through. g3rd0.
Yeah, I was gonna say, g3rd0 had a really nice Mimic set of rooms. I
Good.
think Chex ended up having not gone through Ganonball Z the fastest way. I think g3rd0 might have better shots.
Yep.
Breezy RNG really well gets through.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent. And so, but Chex, since he knows where he stands, he can kind of pace himself a little bit. And so now, so far, g3rd0 having an okay gauntlet. Well, it's 2 rooms in, but having an okay gauntlet so far. Oh, it's always a shame when that one horse decides to go all the way to the top. It's okay, Lewis. Okay.
Oh! Alright, well, you know, if you're gonna fall, this is probably not gonna be the worst place to fall. Chex is also doing, like, very well in terms of health.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it also kind of shows us how much time he really has here. And it looks like... okay.
Just barely missed it.
Yep, so he will have to grab the magic pot. And so he did Alright, so Chex did manage to get through Moldorm 2 the second time. And now, as g3rd0 is making his way to the torches. Now, as a reminder, for Chex, or for Aga 2, I mean, Aga 2, there's 3 Agas this time. However, the 2 faded ones will always fire yellow balls, whereas the real one usually will I always forget which ones he has a chance to fire blue balls, but I know it's not all of them. But so far, looking pretty good here. Until blue balled.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many energy shots have actually contacted Aghanim. Oh, that was a really nice triple, though. Wow,
well,
what a 4-cycle save.
When you end with a triple, it's good enough. So, yeah, unfortunately, the problem with Aga 2 is that if the energy balls do hit Aga at the same time, they don't count for multiple hits, they only count for 1. Thank you, Blaine. The 1st, the 4th, and the 5th are always guaranteed. Okay. Now g3rd0 is going to make his way here. So, remember, he didn't get the torch key, so he's going to go down. Nice hook. Gets the full magic, gets all of it, and gets the key, goes through. So, Chex. Now on the Ganon fight. So, 12 hits for the first phase there, so it looked like he got...
Oh no, g3rd0!
9. Unfortunately, g3rd0 also took a bit of a tumble, sadly. Whereas Chex seems to be having, so far, a decent Ganon fight. I believe that's a 1-in-1. Yes, it is.
Yeah, also Chex and actually looks like g3rd0 as well is going to be going to the Ganon fight with pretty high health. Ganon, 1 touch of Ganon is 8 hearts of damage, and at least in phases 1 and 2, the Fire Bass with 4 hearts of damage. So Chex, with 10 hearts, can actually take quite a few hits. Most dangerous part about this fight, of course, is over. We just need Ganon to stop warping every once in a while so we can actually hit him.
Alright, so while Chex had to deal with the middle 500 Ganon warps at least, he did stop. And now got himself a torch glitch, which is imperative.
Yeah, I think that was a triple on g3rd0's side for Aga. Certainly double.
Okay, that looked... I couldn't tell. I thought that was a double as well. But let's see. Well, that He might be on 5. Unfortunately, got blue balled there. And yep, okay. So yeah, 4 cycle. Meanwhile, Chex looks like he's having still a pretty solid gain so far. And that's it. So assuming Chex doesn't fall, he will get the victory here. As g3rd0 is just approaching. GG's in chat for Chex.
GG's, yeah.
Get them GG's in there. And that is time. So according to, well, we'll see what the bot says here. According to the robot, Chex is finished with a time of 1:27.11. So that'll be it for him. As g3rd0 now going into the Ganon fight. Looks like he gets the first 7 hits. And I think, okay, he got the 12. So now he is going to continue on here to get the last 12 for the second phase. And it looks like g3rd0 also gets the 1-1.
Yeah, and the fact that, as you said, Buddha, both runners ended up having, some pretty good ice armor, so the bat patterns look very predictable again. g3rd0 didn't take any damage here so far.
Right, so now unfortunately, okay, well, the warp seemed to be a little more generous for g3rd0, fortunately.
I guess. But g3rd0 had 10 blue balls this run. I don't know. I guess if it were you had to pick between number of blue balls and number of warps, blue balls are more expensive, right?
I'm not saying it was an equal exchange. I'm just saying, relatively speaking, the Chex.
That is true.
Buddha, where's my Super NT? It's still here. That is all. Okay, so then g3rd0 still getting them spins, so far so good.
Yeah, g3rd0 also ended up getting torch glitched with the fire rod. Always cool to see.
And it should be coming up here. Buddha, where's my points? I have no control over that, sir. And so assuming g3rd0 doesn't fall, this will be a GG for him as well. And that's time. GG's as well for g3rd0.
That was a nice Ganon fight.
g3rd0 getting a sub 129 with a 128.58 as we bring in Chexhuman. Chexhuman, once again, congratulations. GG's, sir.
GG's, Chex.
Thank you. GG's.
So I know you were watching the race there. So how did you feel about... So when did you... So near the end there, did you feel like you can kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit? Or did you still want to try to kind of push forward?
Probably... took my foot off the gas a little. Picked up hearts in Ganon's tower. Yeah. So it was a safe distance.
Right. Okay. And g3rd0, GG's to you as well. Welcome in.
Yeah. GG's, g3rd0.
Yo, good game. Congrats to Chexhuman.
GG, g3rd0.
So g3rd0, how badly did you want the 15?
I was on my way. I don't care about that record, to be honest. It was pretty funny though.
Yeah, but despite the fact that you had 10 blue balls and Chex had 3, the fact that you still managed to have, still pretty much cut the gap there pretty much, because that could have been, 3-4 minutes at one point it seemed, but you still managed to come around at the end. You got a gold Ganon fight.
Yeah, 2021 gold Ganon fight, but
Hey,
it was a 140x at least. This tournament, all my Ganons have been terrible, so getting a decent one at the end was pretty
Right.
cool, at least.
Yeah, no, I do understand what you mean there. So unfortunately for g3rd0, this will be the end for him. Whereas Chex, congratulations, you'll be taking on the winner of Lanxian and Void. So how do you feel about either one of those opponents?
Well, Void is an amazing player. It's really awesome to see him back at Link to the Past. And Lanx is an amazing runner himself, so I don't really stand a chance, but it's pretty cool to be this far. I have a chance, sure.
Because it just looks like, I'm just opening the chest normally.
Well, that's why I'm just saying 2, g3rd0. You didn't have to call yourself out like that. You can just shut up. But also congratulations, of course, for playing on a keyboard. Mouse, you have any questions?
g3rd0, what happened to flute spin speed?
Oh no.
Yeah, I just felt like throwing a curveball, you know. Never let your enemy know your next step is what I'm thinking. Sorry to SNES Chalmers, by the way.
I forgot. I failed to prepare. I let Group H down.
And so hopefully, though, Chex will be able to make it pending his electricity not going out again. But I think, though, do you have any other questions, Mouse?
No, not so much. I just want to say thank you so much for racing, Chex, and especially g3rd0. This is going to be the exit for you in this tournament. But it was really awesome watching you, being able to see you run NMG.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to the organizers as well. I had a lot of fun.
Well, that's good, g3rd0. Is there anything else you wish to say to the adoring public?
Not to the public, but to Chex. I think he should believe in himself. He's a great player. I think he can go very far. I'm happy I lost to him because he has bigger potential to win this tournament than me. I always knew this deep in my heart.
Pog. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That is some high praise there from g3rd0 to Chex. And then Chex, someone who never runs this game without doing any major glitches, what do you have to say to your adoring public?
I will return to major glitches soon, but there are still a lot of... Yeah, there's still a lot to learn in this category, still a lot to learn in other categories. So, more Link to the Past will always be happening.
Right, okay, Chex has got to get out of here. He's got a Vario seed to run. So, on behalf of Clear Mouse, I am Misanthropic Buddha. I will take it back to Ricky for our final farewells.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Chexhuman and g3rd0. That was an awesome race to watch. Thank you to Clear Mouse and Misanthropic Buddha. Did an awesome job. And thank you, Buddha, for 2 races in a row. Fantastic job there. Coming up in just 24 minutes, we have the final Link to the Past NMG tournament match of the night. It's the winner brackets quarterfinals between Fricker22 and Brain. Real hype match to end the night with. That's coming up in 24 minutes, so stick around. We'll be right back. I hope you all had a good time watching this race. And if you need any more content, we've got more stuff coming up tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week, though the schedule has not been updated, but, you know, everyone's scheduling their matches. And with that, we're going to close it off here. Stick around for Fricker versus Brain in 20 minutes. Bye!